Uh, I'm just, I'm upset by this loss, but I'm also just kind of like demoralized by it. I can't believe they lost this game. I really can't. I told you guys this was a must-win game against Phoenix, and Houston lost it. And, what do you do now? Because you lost a game you had to win. And we'll talk about it. The final score was Phoenix 119, Houston 112. With the loss, Houston falls to 45-36 on the year. And now everything comes down to the Lakers game in Los Angeles on Wednesday. I think it's on ESPN. It's on national TV. And it's really a bad place to be in. It's just not where you want to be in for a lot of reasons. And that's why you have to win this game. And they didn't win it. Phoenix did what we call in English, they played the spoiler. Meaning they didn't have any reason to play hard in this game or to try to win this game except to mess up Houston's plans. And that's what a spoiler is in terms of sports terminology. And that's what they did. Very simply. Now, look, Houston was coming off of a game yesterday, but it was an easy game, right? So it wasn't really too physically draining or mentally draining. Phoenix came into this game and they wanted it more than Houston did. That's what happened. Phoenix, the team that didn't have anything to play for, wanted to win more than the team that had everything to play for. And by the time Houston started waking up, it was too late. And then we had some back and forth, and Jeremy was incredible in the second quarter. But once you give a team momentum and you give them life, then you're in trouble. And we've talked about that in different games this year, right? The Orlando game and one of the early Dallas games. If you let the team feel comfortable, then you're going to have problems later. And that's what happened in this game. This loss is like, I'll put it in terms of like, going to school or being in college. It's like, you're down to your final 2 exams. And somebody tells you if you do well enough on the first exam, then the second exam's totally meaningless. And you go into the first exam and fail it. And now everything's on the last exam. And that's what happened to Houston tonight. They blew this chance. And this exam, so to speak, was easier than the last exam, and they still didn't do it. They still didn't pass the exam. And that's what happened. It's just, it's really frustrating. But there's 2 reasons why I can't get too upset about this. I'm sure I know everybody else is upset. And I'm the guy that's supposed to kind of, keep everybody even keeled and positive and stuff. There's 2 reasons why I'm not overly upset about this. One, we're already in the playoffs, which is, this team's overachieved already. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this team is young. They're going to make mistakes like this, unfortunately. And as I've talked about in different times this year, you have to fail to succeed. The great, Michael Jordan has said it many times, something along the lines of, I wouldn't have been able to succeed if I hadn't failed. Right. You've got to experience this type of disappointment so that you can avoid it in the future. And that's what this game was. It's like if you have kids, they're going to make mistakes, and you wish they wouldn't make mistakes, but they're going to make mistakes. And until they make certain mistakes, they're not going to avoid that mistake in the future. And that's what happened here. Look, the reason why it's important for us to get the 7th spot, and now I don't think we're capable of getting, well, I guess Golden State won tonight. So they're now in the number 6 seed. I guess if Golden State lost and we won, there's still possibilities here. But realistically, we're probably playing for the 7th spot now and not the 6th spot, because Golden State's playing Portland in their final game. And Portland is going into that game on a back-to-back. Now, Portland could decide they want to play spoilers in the final game of the year, but more realistically, Portland's going to look like Sacramento looked like yesterday, which is they don't want to get hurt, get the game over with, and move on. Whereas Golden State's playing for number 6 seed. So I expect them to win that game. And the Lakers and us now are pretty much playing to avoid the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round, because Oklahoma City is the best team in the West. They're healthy. And I can tell you this, the Lakers don't want any part of them. Oklahoma City matches up perfectly with the Lakers. The Lakers will get swept in that series, or maybe they'll win one game. Unfortunately, we will probably get swept too, or maybe win one game. We match up a little bit better against Oklahoma City than Los Angeles does, but, Oklahoma City's the best team in the West. The Spurs right now, look, the Spurs are great, and I know the Lakers just beat them, but the problem for the Spurs is they're older. They've got a couple of injuries right now to Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, so they're more vulnerable. It's possible for us, particularly us, maybe even more than the Lakers, that we could beat the Spurs in a series. We're not going to beat the Thunder, and neither are the Lakers. Look, somebody already wrote this in the comments of the Game 80 video. People have asked me this all year. Hey, Paul, and when's Jeremy going to get the referees, whistles, and all this stuff? Let me tell you something right now. Going into the game against Los Angeles on Wednesday or Thursday early in Asia, the Lakers are almost certainly going to get all the calls, and there's a chance that if the Lakers lose that game, they might be out of the playoffs. And we're already in the playoffs, so the Lakers might have to win that game. You put all of that together, and you put in how important the Lakers are to the NBA, how much money they bring, we're not going to get great calls in that game. That's my guess. So not only is it a road game, you're playing against a team that has to win to make the playoffs. And you're playing against one of the darlings of the league on their home court, on national television. It's going to be very difficult to win that game. Now, we can win it. I honestly wouldn't be stunned if we won, but it's going to be very difficult. That's why you have to win this game. That's why you have to pass the easier exam. But we didn't. We didn't do that. And that's why I'm upset. That's why I'm downbeat. Okay. A lot of people want to blame McHale. Nope. This wasn't about McHale. Actually, McHale did a good job in this game. McHale stuck with the bench early in the fourth, and they almost came back. This is not about McHale. This was about the players. Players blew it. And Phoenix's players played better than ours. Now, Goran Dragic outplayed Jeremy. He did, and I've told you guys before, Goran Dragic is a very talented player, and you saw it tonight. And, I don't know, Goran Dragic had about twice as many efficiency units as Jeremy did. Okay, so, part of the loss is on Jeremy, and it is. It is, even though he had a great second quarter, etc. But here's the problem, and I'm sure you all know where I'm going with this. What's the guy's name? J.T. Tucker, or T.J. Tucker, whatever the heck his name is, clowned James Harden. When I say clowned, I mean destroyed. Now, I don't know if James Harden had a bad knee. You saw him where he hit his knee and maybe that whatever, but James Harden was terrible in the second half of this game. At halftime of this game, James Harden's efficiency number was 9. By the end of the game, James Harden's efficiency number was 1. And JT Tucker's or TJ Tucker's or whatever the heck his name is, his efficiency number was 23. So essentially, Tucker had 23 times more efficiency units than James Harden. And that's a big reason why we lost. Again, I'm not going to go crazy on James Harden. I know a lot of people are, and I understand it. And look, he's a big reason why we lost. But, Harden's done a lot this year. We're going to the playoffs, and we're a young team. So, again, I'm going to stay away from completely freaking out about this loss. But, we all know this. Tucker has his little personal battle with Harden. We've talked about this in the last 2 games. The little drama, the little talking and all this stuff. And so Tucker was just waiting for this game so he could get back at Harden, and that's what happened. And that's why you have to be careful about talking trash and getting into it with people, because people don't forget. And so that when they have the opportunity, they're going to get back at you. And that's what happened to James Harden tonight. And, that's a big reason why we lost. Another big reason why we lost was because the big men didn't do anything. Chandler came on late, but Greg Smith and Omer really struggled in this game. The one big man who did do well was Terrence Jones. Thank goodness. But it's just, again, it's a style matchup. Omer's not built to run. He's too big for that. He just doesn't match up well. Just the same way he didn't match up well with Denver's big men. He can't do that. He's not built for that. And so it's, like I said, I can't get too upset about that. I wish the power forward spot would have been better, but, that's what happened. So, okay, let's talk about Jeremy. Look, the best thing about this game was that Jeremy went crazy in the second quarter, and I mean that in a good way. And I'll talk about that more in a second. I'm not going to do the full quarter by quarter because I'm just not. I'm too unhappy. I just don't want to do it. I'm too mad. But I will do the second quarter because Jeremy was great, and that's where you see what Jeremy is and what he's going to become in the future. What happened in the first quarter of this game was that, Phoenix scored, about 40 points? Again, they got off to a quick start, and Houston didn't. Houston was still, they're like a car. They were in second gear, and Phoenix was in fifth gear. And, then you're playing from behind the entire game. And, again, the team that had nothing to play for was more hungry to win than the team that had everything to play for. And that's basically what happened. Okay, let's talk about Jeremy's second quarter. Now, Jeremy went into the second quarter. He hadn't done a lot in the first quarter, if I remember correctly. He hadn't done a whole bunch in the first quarter. And in fact, Goran Dragic had done really well. And that's part of it's Jeremy's fault. It's not all his fault because, Goran Dragic's running off screens and different things. But, you want to try to slow him down, and that didn't happen. But the second quarter, things did change around dramatically for the team and for Jeremy. I think Phoenix was up about 10 points or so to start the second quarter. I made a note, and Jeremy started the second quarter with Patrick Beverley. So Patrick Beverley was playing point, and Jeremy was playing shooting guard, while James Harden was sitting and resting on the sidelines. I made a note at the start of second quarter. It says, Jeremy must pick it up now. This is on him. Now, if you remember early in the year, I would sit here and say that the team couldn't score without James Harden. And, we struggled without James Harden. Well, we've come a long way since then, as we all know. And Jeremy showed again what he can do, not only as a point guard and running the offense, but as a scorer. And he started going at it right away. It's almost like the light switch went off in his head, and it was time for Mr. Clutch and Mr. Fourth Quarter. That's one of the things that's so great with Jeremy. Not only is he clutch, it's like he plays his best when he has to. And that's been his reputation since high school. And it was almost like Mikhail or somebody told him at the end of the first quarter, dude, wake up. And he did. Early in the second, Jeremy had a great crossover move. And, he dribbled from one side of his body going towards the other side, faked out the defender, and he went right to the rim for a layup. And that move began at the top of the key. Jeremy was also, even though Jeremy was the supposedly playing shooting guard, he was running the point. And that was good because what Mikhail understood, again, give Mikhail credit. What Mikhail understood was the only way that we're going to win this game is if Jeremy is playing maestro and making things happen. Jeremy's a playmaker. Patrick Beverley's not a playmaker. Patrick Beverley is a defensive-oriented guard who can also hit standstill shots. But he's not a playmaker. And as I've said before, Jeremy has an ability to run an offense like a wizard with a magic wand. And almost nobody else in the league can do it like Jeremy can. And so Mikhail basically, there was a decision made. Jeremy's going to run the point in the second quarter, and we're going to see how this works, and it worked great. Okay. Also, early in the second, Jeremy went right down the lane, drew a foul, got 2 free throws, made 1 out of 2. So Jeremy was attacking now. He knew he had to make things happen, not just passing, but scoring as well. Okay. And you could see him. You could see him. It was almost like a car revving up its engine. You could see him starting to, warm up and get moving. Also, early in the second, Jeremy got a rebound, I think it was. I don't know if it was a rebound or a steal or whatever. I missed the play. Then he went, he went full court. He went from one end of the court all the way to the other, and I believe scored a layup. And I'm just looking over my notes here real quickly. Houston was now coming back. They were now coming back strong. They were within 6 points. We're only a minute and 34 seconds into the second quarter. And it was like, uh-oh, if you're Phoenix, oh no, here comes Jeremy. That's right. So Jeremy was doing things the way that only he can do it. And so Phoenix took a timeout because they were scared. They said is one of the reasons why Jeremy is so deadly is because he has the ball in his hands. It's one thing to have a great player who's like a center. You have to give him the ball. Jeremy already has the ball, so he can let it go. He can turn up the heat anytime he wants. And it's almost like Kobe or whatever. At any time, Jeremy can start just going crazy, and that's what he started to do. And Phoenix knew it, and they took a timeout very quickly. Soon after the timeout, Jeremy went. I think he got into the lane. He took a little shot. And he missed it, but it was one of those misses that it led to an easy offensive rebound and putback by Terrence Jones. And people have a name for this. Some people call it Kobe assist or whatever. It just means that the guy who ends up getting the offensive rebound, his man came up to help against Jeremy on defense. So the guy on your team is wide open for the rebound. And that's basically what that means. So even though Jeremy missed the shot, it was a good miss. It's almost like an assist because he set up Terrence Jones for an easy layup. And so that happened right after the timeout. Then Jeremy hit another layup, but they waved it off because I think Houston set an illegal screen. When you set a pick, which is the same as a screen, pick equals screen, you cannot move when you set the pick. In other words, you can't go and stand beside a guy to block him, and then when he tries to get around you, you move. So you keep blocking him. You can't do that. That's illegal, and I believe that was the call in that particular play that cost Jeremy another layup. And again, now we're still early in the second quarter here. Jeremy hit a catch-and-shoot three-pointer from about 3 degrees right of the top of the arc. That came with 8 minutes and 25 seconds left, and now it was 45-43 Phoenix. And then they took another timeout. This happened recently in another one of the other games, and I can't remember which one, but it was the same type of thing. Jeremy went on a run, other team took a timeout. Then Jeremy went on another run, and then the team took another timeout. That usually doesn't happen like that. Teams don't like to take timeouts that quickly, one next to another. But Jeremy was just dominating, complete domination. And Phoenix knew it, and they couldn't do anything about it. And again, Goran Dragic, I think he was playing at this time. He's athletic. I mean, he's good. This isn't like Jeremy's playing against Steve Nash, who's old and can't move anymore. I mean, Goran Dragic's good, but just when Jeremy gets into this mode, he's unstoppable. Totally unstoppable. It's like Linsanity 1.0, but it's even better than that, honestly, because Jeremy's a better player now than he was then. And this is the surgeon. When Jeremy plays this way, and it's going to get better, because Jeremy's going to have his athleticism for at least another, 5 years, minimum, I would say. But his jump shot is going to get better, and his ability to draw fouls is going to get better. You could see him. I mean, he was doing, he's getting better at selling fouls. And what I mean by selling is exaggerating the foul so that the referees call it. As Jeremy gets better at shooting and selling fouls, he's going to be, there's no limit to what he can do in a game. And what you saw here in the second quarter, when he plays like this, and this is Linsanity 1.0, basically a better version of it, he's a top, he's probably a top 10 player in the league. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that Jeremy's a top 10 player in the league all the time, because he's not. He's not there yet, and he may never be there. But when he plays like this, there's almost nobody in the league that's better than him, even if they're playing at their peak. This is something that you see like LeBron do. Maybe you could see Russell Westbrook do it if he's hitting his jump shots. When he's doing this, there's nothing anybody can do about it. And he's able to do it frequently. And so I said, he just kind of decided himself in the second quarter, you know what, it's time to turn it on. And he did. And again, because the ball is in his hands, he can do it anytime he wants. And teams are afraid of this. Because when you see this, what are you going to do? What can you do? The answer is not much. Not a lot. And that's why Phoenix took the 2 timeouts. And then later in the game, they started doubling him more off pick and rolls, because you have to keep that away. If he gets into that zone, you're done. I mean, and I was thinking about it. And I know recently I talked, and again, this is all happening early in the second. Like, this is within the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. And it was like, oh boy. I mean, that's what Phoenix was thinking. You don't see this very often from players. There was a guy, and some of you will know who he is. His name is Nate Silver. He's a statistician, basically, for all intents and purposes. I don't know if he is officially a statistician in his education and background, but that's basically what he does. After Linsanity 1.0, all the haters were, it's a fluke and it's small sample size and all this. Well, Nate Silver took all the information, all the data from Linsanity 1.0 and ran it against other people. And it was basically, the conclusion was, no, this has almost never happened ever. So this isn't like some fluke dude who had a nice run. We've almost never seen this. And again, that's what makes Jeremy so special. He can do it consistently. The only thing stopping him from being able to do this anytime he wants is being able to have the ball in his hand, sharing the ball and needing to share it with James Harden and stuff, and his outside jump shot. And being able to draw fouls a little bit better. But what's going to happen in the future is that he's going to be able to do this more often. And he's going to be able to do it whenever he wants to do it. And that's why he's so special. The combination of passing and scoring ability and the speed and the flair. And I don't just mean flair like it looks good. I mean flair as in the defense is fooled. The flair, the no-look passes. Again, no-look passes look good, but they also serve a purpose because the defense doesn't know you're passing it that way, and that makes it a more effective pass. There's, like I said, this is why Jeremy Lin is Jeremy Lin. This is it. You saw it here in the second quarter, and it's going to get better. And he's going to be able to do it more of when he wants to do it. Now, in one of the recent videos, I talked about Dragon Ball Z, DBZ, which is a very famous, I think it's Japanese, I believe, cartoon that was really popular about, 10 years ago or 12 years ago or something like this. What happened a lot in DBZ was you had different guys. The main guy was Goku. And Goku was, like the hero and all this stuff. But you had different people involved, and they were all trying to get more power, like, higher power levels and stuff. The top power level for most of the people, or for the one group of people, was Super Saiyan, right? And I know a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about here. And then, they fought different villains, and the villains could get more power levels, blah, 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 blah. When Jeremy plays like this is Super Saiyan, and it's totally unstoppable. And again, it's getting more to the point where he can do it whenever he wants to do it. And he's more confident about that. You could see his confidence. So the more you're able to do something, the more times, period, and the more frequently you're able to do it, the more your confidence grows, right? If I know that I can, if I have a bow and arrow and, I go out and I shoot an apple off a tree once, well, like, yeah, that was pretty cool. And if I go out and shoot the apple off the tree 6 out of 10 days, well, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. And then I do it again, and I do it another 6 out of 10 days, and then I do it 7 out of 10 days. Pretty soon, you can do it. And that's what's happening for Jeremy. You could see here he knew he could do it. Phoenix was scared to death. Thank goodness James Harden and everybody else was staying out of Jeremy's way. Now, later in the second quarter, things started to slow down. Jeremy he lost his rhythm a little bit. James Harden started kind of taking the ball a little bit more and whatever. But you can't play like that forever. No player can, even within a game. Because, again, it takes a lot of energy to play like that. But there's going to be more and more of this in the future. A lot more. Again, just as long as Jeremy stays healthy. And I think he's going to stay healthy. And this is the type of ability that can make Jeremy a true superstar on the court. He's already superstar off the court. Jeremy's one of the most famous athletes in the world. I mean, he's one of the most popular brands in the NBA right now. And by brands, I mean, the Kobe brand or whatever. Jeremy's already probably a top 5 brand in terms of all NBA players, or he's very close to that. But this ability is going to put him at true superstar level if he can just find the way to harness it and manage it. And again, you're talking about a guy that was on the bench until halfway through the year last year. I mean, you don't see this. Remember I told you guys in the last video that I was so impressed with how much Jeremy's improved this year. You just don't see that type of improvement within 1 year, particularly for a guy coming off of an injury. But for Jeremy for him to ascend this quickly, I mean, to get to this level, essentially where he can almost dictate when he wants to become the Super Saiyan level in a year and a half from being on the bench and being nobody, it just is ridiculous. I don't even know what to compare it to. I really don't. And this is the reason why. This is a huge reason for his popularity. Because everybody thinks that could be me. I'm on the couch now, and maybe I could do that. Well, you probably couldn't do it, but Jeremy can do it. And that's why people like him. It's just incredible. I've watched this game for 30 years. I've played it. I've studied it. I've followed the NBA all that time. I don't remember ever seeing anything like this, ever. Never. And we're not even close to the peak. Jeremy is just beginning to tap into what he can really do. I say it's Super Saiyan and DBZ, but it's like, it's like getting a magic crystal. And all of a sudden you have to figure out, what to do with the amount of power in the crystal. That's what Jeremy's dealing with now. That's how good and special he is. And so as bad as this game was, and it was horrible. I mean, it's just a terrible loss. It really was. The redeeming thing is how great Jeremy was in the second quarter. It's like looking through a telescope into 3 years from now. He could be doing this, whenever he wants, with an even better jump shot and even more confidence. Look, there was a lot more Jeremy did in the second quarter. In the middle of the second, he had a 21-foot jump shot. Soon after that, he had a nice pass to Carlos Delfino for three-pointer. That made the score 50-50 with 6 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game. So, Jeremy had brought the team all the way back. And I think James Harden was still on the bench. So this was all Jeremy. And everybody knew it. And nobody could do anything about it. on the Phoenix's side. As bad as James Harden was tonight, remember, James Harden's a great player. Isaiah Thomas. Now, people have asked me, what did Isaiah Thomas say? And I don't mean Isaiah Thomas, the guy that plays for Sacramento. I mean Isaiah Thomas, the Hall of Fame point guard that played for the Detroit Pistons, that had a long affiliation with the New York Knicks in management, and that now works on NBA TV. Well, Isaiah Thomas, to his credit, said the other day, James Harden and Jeremy Lin can be the best backcourt in the league. He's right. They can be that. They're close to it now. I wouldn't put them there quite yet. They need a little bit more experience and individual skills and chemistry with each other. But they can be that. And again, people want to say, well, it's all Harden. No, it's not. You saw it tonight. And we've seen it. Again, we that are Lin fans, we've seen this, 50 times now? I mean, we've seen this a million times. It's just, the other people don't see it or they don't want to believe it, but it doesn't matter. I give Isaiah Thomas because he was a doubter. I mean, he said when he was with the Knicks or advising the Knicks, he didn't think Jeremy Lin was going to be that good. And basically, I think he advised the Knicks against keeping him or whatever. And look, I mean, Kevin McHale, apparently advised the Rockets to cut him. I mean, we've seen this, right? I mean, this isn't anything new, but I give Isaiah Thomas credit because he turned around. Isaiah's smart enough to know what he's seeing now. Isaiah was a phenomenal point guard, about the same height as Jeremy, actually a little shorter. Now, Isaiah Thomas knows he was wrong about Jeremy. And McHale's learning that. And a whole bunch of other people are going to learn it too. So that's the great part about tonight. That's the great part about tonight. And it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Look, I can tell you right now, personally, myself, I'll feel a lot less probably up and down about losses next year than I will this year. This because it's all new this year, It's all new. We want the team to do as well as they can and go as far as they can. And so it's like, it's whatever. But as Jeremy gets better and more consistent and the team gets more consistent and Jeremy gets more recognition and more leeway from McHale, then it won't be as big of a deal. At least not regular season games. So, but it's fun. I mean, if we didn't have the lows, then we wouldn't have the highs and the greatness and the great times. So it's not fun to feel upset, but it's part of the deal. It's part of the package and makes the good times even better. Also, middle of the second, Jeremy went down the lane. He was in transition. He went right up against two guys, had a nice little scoop layup, not a scoop layup, actually like a floater. And just, he was just totally unstoppable at this point. I put a note that said he was in blowtorch mode. In English, a blowtorch is like it's like a handheld device that people that are welders, people that work with metal, like they will, put metal and attach it to metal using fire. And that's what a blowtorch is. It's just, incredibly concentrated heat in a little device. That's what Jeremy was. It's just this ball of fire that Phoenix couldn't, they couldn't do anything. Nothing. Didn't matter what they did or what they tried. And I'll tell you what, and this just occurred to me. Jeremy in transition is like LeBron. LeBron is completely unstoppable in transition. Now, Jeremy's not quite that good because he can't dunk like LeBron can, and he's not 260 pounds. But Jeremy's so fast that if he gets out on you, you can't stop him. And that's like LeBron. He's unstoppable in transition. And it's, as I said, it was just incredible to watch. Middle of the second, Jeremy went to the rim. He went right down the lane. He got fouled. And I put a note that says, he knows he's unstoppable now. He's in his zone, and he knows it. and nobody can do anything. And he got 2 free throws, and he made one of them. And that's what I said by being in control of it, right? It's like being in control of the magic gem. Now he's starting to understand what he has to do with the magic gem to get the power. And the more he's able to unlock the power of himself when he wants, then he's going to become more unstoppable and more confident. That's what's happening. I just, again, if you look at what Jeremy's done this year, it's unprecedented. I mean, especially, tying it into last year. This guy was being dissed. The people, the fans of the team didn't believe in him, right? And Tony Douglas should start over him, and Patrick Beverley should start over him. And the leaks to the media that the basketball side of Houston doesn't believe him. Now look at him. It's a good thing that he's succeeded, because if he didn't succeed, it'd be tragic, right? But what's so great, and we've talked about this, what fuels Jeremy, what drives Jeremy, I'm sure of this, and he's mentioned this, not only does he want to prove people wrong for him, I think he wants to prove people wrong about all basketball players of Asian descent, period. I think he wants to end it forever. Don't ever diss people because we're Asian descent in terms of basketball players. It's almost like a controlled fuel. And that's why you can't beat Jeremy Lin, because he's not just playing for himself. He's playing for other people too. And that's the most powerful thing of all. He's playing to pave the way for others. And he's also, and I say this, whatever you think about this, or if you like it or don't like it, he's playing for his higher power. If you get somebody with that much motivation, excuse me, man, my throat's all messed up. If you get somebody with that much motivation, combined with that much ability, good luck stopping them. And that's where Jeremy's at. Yeah, they lost the game. Yeah, Goran Dragic did better than Jeremy did, but you saw in the second quarter, when he's able to do that, whenever he wants, it's all over. And it's coming. It's coming. All right. Like I said, look, I'm not going to do the rest of the second quarter. The rest of the second quarter from about, I don't know, maybe like 5 minutes on, James Harden came back to the game. And to be fair, Jeremy started slowing down. Like his little hot streak kind of started slowing down, but then also Houston and Harden and other players started messing up and going away from Jeremy. And what ended up happening is then Phoenix went on a 15-2 run. So it was like, all of the good stuff Jeremy had done got undone, essentially. And that's where I knew it was going to be a difficult game from the rest of the way on. But we still got to see what Jeremy did there. And again, that's the future. That's what's coming. Okay, the summary here is this was just a really bad loss, just a horrible loss, and just a really disappointing loss. But it's lessened by the fact that this team is making the playoffs, and they're a young team that has to learn this. They need to have these failures in order to get better in the future. Jeremy was great. He was particularly great in the second quarter. This was definitely a Linsanity 2.0 performance, but Goran Dragic was better than him by a bit. And that happens, and there's different reasons why it happened. And finally, TJ or JT Tucker torched James Harden. You know what? That happens. That's just the way it goes. I remember watching Michael Jordan. And there's games where, a guy named Calbert Chaney, guy nobody even remembers anymore, would score 40 points against Jordan. It happens. It does happen. Tonight was just one of those nights. So I'm not going to sit here and go crazy on James Harden. Tonight was just, it's just an unfortunate night. And that's what occurred. Okay, it is 1:38 early Tuesday morning on April 16th here in the United States on the East Coast, which means it is 1:38 p.m. on Tuesday, April 16th in Taipei, Taiwan. Now, somebody asked me, this is what I know there's a million comments I haven't got to answer, and as I said, I'm sorry about that. I've just been extremely busy with other things right now, and I just haven't had a chance to catch up on that stuff, but I'll do my best, and again, if I need to, I'll make a comment video. Just bear with me, please, while I have to catch up. But somebody asked me, Paul, what does the efficiency stat mean? And where can you find it? It's a good question. NBA.com, the official site of the NBA, used to have that stat. They used to have it. Like they'd have a thing and they'd rank all the players in the NBA based on that number, based on that category. Efficiency, again, just means all of the positive numbers minus all of the negative numbers within a game and for a season. So positive numbers are points you score, rebounds you have, assist you have, steals, block shots, etc. Negative stats are missed shots, turnovers, missed free throws, etc. The closest approximation to efficiency is PER, which is player efficiency rating. But it's not the same thing. If you go to NBA.com now, they've completely changed their statistics section. They now have some stat called, like, I don't even remember what it's called. It's, efficiency something. It's some other. I'm not really familiar with that stat. I don't know a lot about it. It's just some variation. PER and whatever it is that the NBA is doing, they're all based on the efficiency number that I'm giving you, which is known as the raw efficiency number. The reason it's called the raw efficiency number is because there is no additional calculation done upon it. PER, for example, takes raw efficiency and then it calculates it with variables including how many minutes you played and what is the PER of everybody else in the league. And so PER is altered such that the average PER in the league is 15.0. So these are all just versions of it. The reason why I don't give you a PER number is because you have to calculate it further. It's a more difficult calculation, and it's just not. It's not worth my doing it. If I give you I'm sure you can find the efficiency stat out there, just raw efficiency, and I'll look for that for people or whatever. It's just think about it as something that's very close to PER, and it's kind of a guide for how somebody did in a game. I know there's something out there called game score, and people will put that on Clutch Fans. I'm actually not really familiar with that. Like, I don't know how that's calculated, but the efficiency number I'm giving you is basically like a game score. Jeremy's PER for the year is around 15.1. So that's like, that he's basically right around the average number, right? Tonight, his efficiency was, I think it was 13. So that's not that great, even though his scoring was great. So it's just a way to kind of evaluate a player's performance in a game with a little bit more insight. If somebody scores 30 points, but they shoot 35 times, well, that's not that great. Even though people say, well, he scored 30 points, that's great. Well, but he shot 35 times. And that's essentially what PER and those things do. It just gives you one level further of analysis of a game. So I hope that helps. Like I said, I don't know the best place to go and find the raw efficiency number right now. I'd really have to look that up, but the closest thing to it is PER, and PER is relatively easy to find. I know that they keep it on a site called basketballreference.com, which is probably the most comprehensive and well-known basketball statistics site on the internet. Okay. The next game is against the Los Angeles Lakers probably for the 8th or 7th seed. And that comes Wednesday, April 17th in the United States at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the final game of the regular season, and it will take place in Asia early on Thursday, April 18th, including 10:30 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan. Again, I appreciate everybody's comments. I'm reading everything. I've read everything. I just haven't had the opportunity to answer everybody. Once again, I want to thank Gary Chen, the Lin Garden Jeremy Lin fan club, and Hanny Chang for the artwork you're looking at now, as well as JJ from Baidu for doing the translations for these videos. All you guys have done a great job. Gary's artwork is phenomenal, and we appreciate it. And I'll put the information for Gary, Hanny Chang, and the Lin Garden Group in the video description below the video player. I'll also put there, all the stuff for the game highlights, game stories, and box score of the game, as well as information on how you can come and join the CNM Facebook group. Your comments below, thumbs up, thumbs down on this video. I am Paul at Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Look, this was a very tough loss, but if we beat the Lakers on Wednesday, then everything's forgiven. It's going to be a difficult game. I know the team will be ready, though. Our team is going to be ready. I can tell you that right now. But so will the Lakers be ready. So we'll see. Again, the good thing is we're in the playoffs. We will learn from this. And Jeremy was amazing in the second quarter of this game, and another Linsanity 2.0 performance. Okay, that's it. I hope everybody's doing good, and I hope everybody's having a great day or great night wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care. We will talk to you soon. I will try to get down in the comments. I thought I would be able to get in the comments of the last video, and I was not able to do that, so I'm sorry about that, but we'll try to get down there tonight and just interact with you guys, because I know a lot of people are feeling the same way that I'm feeling. Take care.